No, bro. No. Why you're making me so sad? Ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough to keep me from getting to you. No, it's very quiet. Why is it very quiet? It's not that quiet, actually. Input device. Why can't I fix the input? Okay, well, that's fine. I'll be okay. I'll just project to this. Cool. All right. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم and off we go. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Ahmed and welcome back to another episode of Quran in English. I've already said my name. What are we doing here? I am reading the Quran from start to finish, reading it in Arabic, discussing it in English, perfect English. And by doing so, I am learning about the Quran and I'm sharing my learning with you in the hopes that you might learn something, but primarily so that I can learn something. But if you have a different perspective or have a different focus, then I would appreciate it. Drop me a comment. I read them all as of today, which is 21/6/26. We're in 2026. So, for instance, there was a comment by the number one, Mr. Matar, the number one viewer of this. He said, if you watch... okay, I have to actually pop it up, but I think it's worth it just because it showcases the interactivity that I have with the crowd, which if you're watching this a couple years down the line is just no longer true. But B 4820. So Mr. Matar posted that comment 4820. So if we go up to 4820, I was struggling with it and I wasn't having the feeling. And he said if I listened to it, then it would be grand. Oh, 4820. Oh, yes, Surah Sad 3820. It wasn't this chapter. I see. But either way, I went to it and I listened to it and it was quite nice. And point being, I learned from your comments as well. And I'm hoping that you learn from me. But this is a channel where we will make mistakes. And by we, I mean me. So yeah, if you don't like mistakes, don't watch it. If you do, hang out. Let's check it out. Let's discover the Quran. And yeah, long intro, but here we are. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We were talking about the Day of Judgment and God, and we will continue. فمن أظلم ممن كذب على الله وكذب بالصدق إذ جاءه أليس في جهنم مثوى للكافرين فمن أظلم ممن كذب على الله وكذب بالصدق إذ جاءه أليس في جهنم مثوى للكافرين. Okay. Who is more unjust than the one who lies upon God and denies the truth if when it came to him? I always used to think the Quran does this. So who's more unjust or who's more evil or who's more terrible than someone who does these things? And I'm like, aren't there so many more things that are more important than this? Not more important, but like more vile or horrible or terrible. Why would denying God or lying about God be the worst of it? And there's like two thoughts. One is that we're speaking in hyperbole, where it's an example, but it's not literal. But I wouldn't imagine that it's not literal. I think the other philosophy, which is a bit more closer, is that this whole experience that we're having called life is about finding God, and therefore this becomes the worst sin. It ties back to why are we here? Why do we exist as humans? Why is life happening? And the Quran's philosophy is that, the whole point of it is to go back to heaven. The whole point of it is to go back to God. So lying about God would then theoretically be the worst thing that you can do. Because you can kill, you can steal, you can rape, you can cheat. And all of those things are bad things. But they're not the focus of what life is about. At least according to the Quran. So I kind of understand that. And then rhetorical questions are full of the Quran. Is there not a hell? Is hell not the abode for the ones who disbelieve? They've added fitting. I don't think you need to add it. Is hell not the home for disbelievers? That by itself is the question. And I find it to be super sassy. You know what I mean? Like, oh, aren't they going to hell? Like, you know what the answer is. You're saying a rhetorical question. Like, why are you saying... Like, it's such an interesting perspective. Me trying to find the tone of what it is. Because a lot of times when you look at religious people, you're like, okay, so the tone is very serious, very dry, very non-rhetorical. Like, and it seems more aggressive and intense. Whereas the Quran's more like, aren't you going to burn? Like, it's more sassy and more comfortable and more calm and cool and collected than, what I expected it to be. والذي جاء بالصدق وصدق به أولئك هم المتقون. متقون. I'm trying to think of متقون. Is it? I'm saying it ta or متقون. One more time. There was an airplane going ahead of me. Oh, I'm just muting and unmuting, bro. المتقون. Maybe I can say it better. المتقون. والذي جاء بالصدق وصدق به أولئك هم المتقون. Because there's a ta and there's a ta. And this has to be a ta, not a ta. And the one who brought the truth and وصدق and who embraced it. I don't think it's believed. Believed is not right. Embraced it is closer. Who made it? صدق الشيء is like authenticated it and made it real and made it kind of true. Who brought the truth and made it true. وصدق به. Oh, وصدق به. Okay, believed in it. Okay. الذي جاء بالصدق وصدق به. Okay, whoever brought the truth and believed in it. Okay, I do believed in it. They are the ones who are the righteous. Very clear. لهم ما يشاءون عند ربهم ذلك جزاء المحسنين. For them is what they wish with their lords. That is the reward of the do-gooders. Now, here's where I kind of struggle. I don't feel like the righteous always get what they wish. Hear me out. Maybe in some weird, twisted sense. Like for me, I struggled a lot with the more righteous I became, the more humble I became, the less my desires for things became. When you have absolute faith in God and you trust, you want for very little. Therefore, you're not wishing for a lot. But that being said, I'm sure I wish for things that don't come true. Like I struggle with this idea. The Quran says that every prayer is responded to. It doesn't mean every prayer is granted. And the other alternative is that this could be talking about heaven. For them, whatever they wish is with their Lord. Maybe in heaven, whatever they wish they get. That is the reward of the good doers. Not necessarily in this life, but it's with God, and they have to wait to meet God in order to get what they want. You know. لِيُكَفِّرَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ أَسْوَاءَ الَّذِي عَمِلُوا. لِيُكَفِّرَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ أَسْوَاءَ الَّذِي عَمِلُوا وَيَجْزِيَهُمْ أَجْرَهُمْ بِأَحْسَنِ الَّذِي كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. So that God may remove upon them the worst of what they have done. So remove your worst deeds from your reckoning, from your account at the end, and reward them their due for the best that they used to do. And that is a beautiful statement that only matters if you believe that there is a score that is being kept in place and that you will, reap or, if you don't believe that there's a reward or a punishment for the good or the bad that you do, then this means nothing. But if you do, this is kind of positive. I mean, I believe that. But I don't know. I have a certain peace and acceptance, even about the worst that I've done. Yeah, I think the worst that I've done was become unstable and scared my family and my friends. But I didn't there's one person that I sort of scared too much, which I understand was a problem. But yeah, I don't know. Well, okay, let's not get into it. Let's not get into my sins. I have a terrible memory. I'm sure I've done many things that are pretty bad. I just don't remember them. Anyway, let's not get into it too much. Bad sins gone, good things kept. Hallelujah, this is great. Okay, enough. I want to uninstall. I don't know what that is. It's so stupid. Anyway. أليس الله بكاف عبده ويخوفونك بالذين من دونه ومن يضلل الله فما له من هاد. Is God not sufficient for his slave? Is God not sufficient for his slave, his servant? And they scare you with those besides him. Now, this can mean, obviously, the other gods that they believed in at the time. That, blah, blah, blah is going to scare you. Hecate, Tutu. I say Hecate and Lucifer because those are the modern things that people believe in. I imagine at the time of the prophet, they were different. I can't remember their names. But another example could be that they scare him with people, they scare him with money, they scare him with anything that can be besides God, not just other gods, but also other gods. And whoever God lets go astray, then there is no guide for him. And that's a topic that we have talked about plenty. I'm not going to get into it too much, but if God decides you're gone, then you're gone. You're basic. ومن يهدي الله فما له من مضلل ومن يهدي الله فما له من مضل أليس الله بعزيز ذي انتقام. And whoever God guides, then for him, there's nobody for him that can mislead him. Whoever God guides, then nobody can mislead him. And it says, is God not the almighty retributor, capable of retribution? The word is revenge. Intiqam is revenge. Retribution is kind of accurate. You do something, you get something back. But revenge is what comes to mind. So first part's first. And whoever God guides, then nobody's going to cause him to go astray. And this is something that I, when I first converted, I had fears of demons and yada, 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 all that jazz in my head. I was worried about how am I going to survive against a world that wishes me harm, a world that sends bad negative vibes my way, spellcasting, spirits, demons. I'm how am I going to survive any of that? And here is the ultimate answer. The ultimate answer is all you need is God from a spiritual sense. God will guide you, and no matter how hard they try to come at you, if you have God in your heart, then you will be among those who succeed. And that is the guarantee. Because once you start believing in spirits and all that, you're okay, who do I? If I get to a certain level, then there's always going to be somebody with an evil eye, a spirit, a curse, a wish, at something. And here it's saying that as long as God is guiding you, and as long as you ask God to guide you, then there will be no one can lead you astray. And then it says something interesting. Is God not the Almighty, the one of retribution? Punishment is the wrong word. Retribution, revenge, is closer, which means this feels like gang game. Like, we got our boss. We're siding with God. You side with whoever you want. If you try to hurt me, God gonna hurt you. So like, I don't know, like my boss is bigger than your boss, which I find it very interesting. And I like, for me, it's very primitive, the human desire to belong to a gang and sit and let's say like, oh, your leader is gonna take care of you. And I've always had this idea of like leadership. Why is leadership so important for humans? Why do we always have to follow somebody? But there seems to be an innate instinct in it. And essentially, here it's saying, my God's bigger than yours. And he gonna get you. My dad's bigger than your dad. It just feels, I don't know. It's very interesting, the perspective. And the fact that God and revenge, I would somehow think that God is above it all, but apparently not. Revenge is retribution, is what he does. Among many, 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 many things. It's just nice. Yeah, so choose wisely. ولئن سألتهم من خلق السماوات والأرض ليقولن الله قل أفرأيتم ما تدعون من دون الله إن أرادني الله بضر هل هن كاشفات ضره أو أرادني برحمة هل هن ممسكات رحمته قل حسبي الله عليه يتوكل المتوكلون. I always get confused by this statement. And if you ask them who created the heavens and the earth, they will say God. Why would they say God? Do they believe in the other gods and they believe in God? I would assume that those who, or I mean, there is kind of a concept elsewhere in Hinduism that they believe in multiple gods, but they also believe that it all comes from one source. So maybe it's that type of situation. But anyway, do you believe in God? Who created the heavens and the earth? They say God. So then say, do you see what you invoke from besides God? If God intended for me harm, are the things that you believe in removers of this harm? Or if he wanted for me mercy, are they able to withhold his mercy? Say, Hasbi Allah. It means God is sufficient for me, but it also means my account is with God. Whatever I get or get denied is with God. It's not that God is sufficient for me. God is my reckoning, is my everything. The good, the bad. And upon him, I put my trust. And upon him puts the trust of those who put their trust in him. In him, the faithful put their trust. Yeah. Faithful is a word, but like anyone who wants to put faith in something, put your faith in God. قل يا قوم اعملوا على مكانتكم إني عامل فسوف تعلمون. Say, O my people, work upon your position and I will work. Soon you will know. You do you, and I do me. Soon you'll see who's really telling the truth. And it really is a matter of faith in terms of believing it. And I cannot tell you how faith is formed, how faith is determined. As far as I can tell, it is entirely up to God. A lot of people struggle with that idea. But like, I don't know. I don't know how to make someone have faith or not have faith. I simply don't know. So knowing is a matter of faith. Believing is seeing, seeing is believing. من يأتيه عذاب يخزيه ويحل عليه عذاب مقيم. Whoever comes upon him a punishment, it will destroy them, like overwhelm him, exhaust him, humiliate him, and descends upon him a punishment that is everlasting. Is this a continuation of the previous verse? Then soon you will know, whoever comes to him a punishment, it will destroy him and descend upon him a punishment that is everlasting. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's only one that talks about everlasting punishment. I mean, there might have been more. But yeah, you either believe or you don't. إنا أنزلنا عليك الكتاب للناس بالحق فمن اهتدى فلنفسه ومن ضل فإنما يضل عليها وما أنت عليهم بوكيل. Indeed, we have sent down upon you the book for mankind in truth. So whoever accepts guidance, then it's for themselves, and whoever goes astray, then indeed he goes astray against it. Could be against his own soul, but I don't see the word soul. For himself, and whoever goes astray, then he has gone astray against himself. Why do they use the female against the self? It would make sense that it is the soul, and the soul becomes female. But anyway, important, and you are not over them as a manager, as a keeper, as a what's the word? Attorney. Yeah, you're not a manager. You're not responsible for them. And this is time and time again. The message to the Prophet is that we brought down the book in truth. Whoever is guided is guided. Whoever is lost for themselves. And you are not responsible for them. Very clear. Now this is a very interesting verse. الله يتوفى الأنفس حين موتها والتي لم تمت في منامها فيمسك التي قضى عليها الموت ويرسل الأخرى إلى أجل مسمى إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون. God takes the souls or the selves at the time of their death and the ones who did not die in their sleep. God takes those who die and the souls that did not die in their sleep, which means God still takes them in their sleep, which means every time you go to sleep, you are with God. Or your soul is with God. I'm trying to think of what that means for like nightmares and stuff. If your soul's with God, then maybe whatever is visiting your brain while you're sleeping is causing a nightmare, or whatever your brain is processing. It's going to hurt my head, so don't answer. Don't answer questions that we don't know. God takes those who are dead and those who are not dead in their sleep. Then he keeps the one whom has decreed upon it death. So God keeps with him the one who's decreed upon him death. And he sends the other to a term that is specified. So all those who go to sleep comes back down. And you come back to God. God gonna get you at some point. But then that means we're always with God when we sleep. It's very interesting. What does that mean? What are the implications of such? Why does that mean? Very curious. Indeed, in that is a sign for a people who ponder. It's also interesting because sleep is one of the most vital things that we have. You have to sleep 1/3 of your lives, assuming in a 24-hour day, 8 hours is spent sleeping, ideally, 8 hours awake, and 16 hours awake. But you should, on average, sleep about 8 hours a day. And if you don't go for sleep for several days in a row, it's horribly destructive to you. Sleep is so important. and we don't fully understand why we sleep or why we need sleep. Like if you also look in horror video games or in any kind of video game where you need to like save or rest, it's always when you find a bed, then you can rest, heal up, and you'll be fine the next morning. Sleep is so powerful, and we don't fully understand what it is or why it is. But this is another clue. We're with God when we go to sleep. There's something special about that. Amazing. أم اتخذوا من دون الله شفعاء قل أولو كانوا لا يملكون شيئا ولا يعقلون. Or did they take from besides God intercessors, people who can speak on their behalf? Say, even though they were those intercessors, say you've taken an intercessor even though those intercessors do not possess anything and they do not understand. So here it's talking about the idols, most likely. Would they do so even if they have neither authority nor intelligence? No, if they don't possess anything, not authority. If they don't have anything and if they do not reason. قل لله الشفاعة جميعا له ملك السماوات والأرض ثم إليه ترجعون. Say, to God belongs the intercession altogether, for him is the dominion of the heavens and the earth, and then to him you will be returned. Say, to God belongs the intercession altogether, for him is the dominion of the heavens and the earth, and to him you will return. Yeah, I mean, the message is pretty clear. Intercession. I believe that God has made exceptions to those who can give intercession, but it's to God belongs intercession, and he can also give it to whom he wills, give the power of intercession to whom he wills. I think. I'm not going to get into it too much because I've seen other verses, but I don't quite remember the specific verses that say that. The concepts of Jesus and Muhammad come to mind. Isa and Muhammad, the Arabic names. وَإِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَحْدَهُ اشْمَأَزَّتْ قُلُوبُ الَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْآخِرَةِ وَإِذَا ذُكِرَ الَّذِينَ مِن دُونِهِ إِذَا هُمْ يَسْتَبْشِرُونَ. And when God's name is mentioned alone, kind of like, not shrink, but like the hearts, I don't know what that sound is, like shrug, shirk, disgust, something with disgust. The hearts of those who don't believe in the hereafter. When they hear God's name alone, their hearts go bleh. And then when you mention those who are besides him, then they behold, they are as if they are filled with good news and good tidings. Oh, those great money, power, jin, jubity, babu. They're quite happy. قل اللهم فاطر السماوات والأرض عالم الغيب والشهادة أنت تحكم بين عبادك فيما كانوا فيه يختلفون. Say, God is the originator, the creator of the heavens and the earth. He knows the unseen and the witness, the seen and the unseen. You will judge between your servants of what they used to do and what they used to disagree, or what they used to differ. Oh, so here it's kind of like saying it's to God, but kind of a declaration. God is the originator of the heavens and the earth, and knows the seen and the unseen. And then it continues saying, you rule between your servants and what they used to differ. ولو أن للذين ظلموا ما في الأرض جميعا ومثله معه لافتدوا به من سوء العذاب يوم القيامة وبدا لهم من الله ما لم يكونوا يحتسبون. And if those who wronged, and if those who wrong had whatever is in the earth all together and the likes of it, so times two, everything in the earth times two, so that they would ransom with it the evil, all the evil that they've done. It had everything in the world times two, and then they tried to ransom all the evil that they've done with God to say, oh, you know what, instead of the evil, take all these things on the day of resurrection. They would not succeed. Even if the wrongdoers would possess everything in the world, so they would surely offer it as ransom for the horrible punishment on the day of judgment. And it will appear for them from God for they will see from God what they had never expected. Dun dun dun. Yeah, we've seen this time and time again. You can't trade away your bad deeds. وبدا لهم سيئات ما كسبوا وحاق بهم ما كانوا به يستهزئون. And it will become apparent for them the evil of what they have earned, the terrible, terrible things that they have earned, and they will surround for them what they used to mock. They will be overwhelmed by what they used to ridicule. فإذا مس الإنسان ضر دعانا ثم إذا خولناه نعمة منا قال إنما أوتيته على علم بل هي فتنة ولكن أكثرهم لا يعلمون. And then when hardship touches when hardship touches a human and he calls upon us, then if we bestow upon him favor, a blessing from us, bestow upon the human a favor or blessing, the human says, I came to it, I've been given to it because I had the knowledge. These good things happened to me is because I had the smarts to do this and the smarts to do that, and therefore I am, long story short, they forget that they've asked God for help, and they forget that everything comes from God. Even the knowledge that you are succeeding with comes from God. Nay, it is a trial, but most of them do not know. The trial isn't when adversity touches you, do you pray to God? The trial is when blessings touch you. Do you remember that this is from God? Or do you give credit to your ego? قد قالها الذين من قبلهم فما أغنى عنهم ما كانوا يكسبون. The ones indeed had said it, those who were before them, the ones from before them had said it, but it did not avail them what they used to earn. In the end of the day, all that you earn is not going to help you. فأصابهم سيئات ما كسبوا والذين ظلموا من هؤلاء سيصيبهم سيئات ما كسبوا وما هم بمعجزين. Then struck them the evil of what they used to earn. And this is more talking about when the messengers used to come and deliver warnings of a punishment that they're going to feel in this earth. Believe or else. And I believe we're going to get a messenger of that type pretty soon, but that's just my belief. And those who were wrong, those are the ones who will strike them the evil of what they earned, and they will not be able to escape. Dun dun dun. Oh, 52, not 51. Okay. أولم يعلموا أن الله يبسط الرزق لمن يشاء ويقدر إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يؤمنون. Did they not know that God extends his provisions and blessings to whoever he wills, and he restricts it? Indeed, in that is a sign for those who believe. Again, tying back to the whole point that this is all about God, and that every good thing and every bad thing is because of God. I think some humans struggle to reconcile with that, because then they're like, okay, if it's all God's perspective, then what's the point of free will? Well, the point is, you don't know what God's perspective is, and you have a choice, and you gonna get rewarded or punishment for the end. They're like, but why would I get rewarded or punishment for something somebody else has done? Well, if your friend tells you to jump off the bridge, and then you jump off the bridge, do you blame your friend? No, you still have to jump off the bridge. If you do it or you don't do it, it's up to you. In the end of the day, your choice matters for your perspective. From our perspective, your choice is the only thing that matters. And your choice is God's choice. Anyway, it's going to get too complicated. Everything is from God. Long story short. Most important verse for me for today was that God takes us in our sleep. I never thought about that. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Anyway, that's it for today. And I will catch you guys next week. صدق الله العلي العظيم. And yeah, مع السلامة. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. مع السلامة. Bye bye.